Feature Friday.
The freshest.
One of the things we like to do a lot on the channel every now and then is sort of go and see how one of our favorite artists composes or behaves in the studio or records in the studios. And one of my favorite songs of Arijit is like Naina Banjari, Naina Banjari. Yeah, I love that song. By the way, we're watching him live, so do look out for those type of...
The countdown started.
Yeah, it's like next week, basically. Next week, Monday, right?
Yes.
No, the following week.
The following,
yeah.
yes.
2nd of May. So if you're going, let us know. Love to meet some of you guys. That's awesome. Yeah, so you guys sent some of this stuff through of him in the studio and stuff. You were very kindly to compile this stuff for us. So let's give it a watch.
Let's have a look. Why is he so like happy all the time? Most people are like
Look at his hand.
Ah, right.
I love this song. Turn it up.
Oh, Nana. आँखियों के दो बजरे आँखियों के नहीं होगा पंचो आँखियों के दो बजरे घाट से भिड़ी नैया बिखर गए गजरे डूबे डूबे मितवा बीच मझधारे बिड़े बिड़े नैना नैना पंचारे.
It's wild. How is he so like? The thing is, his voice ignites that reaction in people. Like it's so wholesome. I don't know what it is.
Harmonious.
I don't know what it is because technically speaking and like taking all the magical weight of it and just like, you know, blatantly stating facts. His voice is very nice. It's nice. That's it. But he shouldn't ignite what he does. And this like overjoyed like essence and feeling, I don't know. It's very strange. And obviously, it's nice to see that even at the beginning of a composition, even in the building stages, people that have heard millions of voices, thousands of songs, can still, you know, he can still ignite that emotion in people. Be like, yeah, it's...
We obviously don't recognize some of these figures that are here. I'd imagine that is Pataka and Vishal. But do correct us if we're wrong, or perhaps who they are and what sort of involvement they have in this type of productions. But what's really difficult to sort of understand, I think, unless you've been in the booth yourself or unless you are somewhat involved in music, is that type of calmness and that looseness that he brings to the studio and that type of joyfulness. That's actually like a skill on his own because everything turns smoother.
Yes.
Like everything becomes easier if you bring that type of energy into the studio.
But it comes from within though, because this is one of the most high pressure environments. Like this is most often the places where you would have to force yourself into finding comfort, because only in comfort is where you will shine at the most. But there's a lot of pressure when you're recording a track, given the fact that there's probably time constraints, or there are plenty other tracks that you would have to record that day or scheduled for that week or whatever. So there's a lot of pressures that go into that one piece of content. So it's actually quite impressive to see how relaxed
Everyone
and how
is.
completely like harmonious this environment.
It would also
is.
be interesting to see what stage of the song making this was
Yes,
in, because everyone's very loose and relaxed. So.
Yeah, but maybe this is just what comes with him.
I don't know. Yeah, he just seems to be so happy to be involved, which is hilarious because he's one of the biggest singers
It's crazy,
in India.
right?
But go on.
पर ऐसा अच्छी तुमने वो मिडिल से नीचे लिया है ना
थोड़ा सा
हाँ वो तो टेल में है एकदम वो उनको जिनको सुनना है उनके लिए वो कान में लिखने वाली बात है इतनी खूबसूरत है वाह.
Also, this was promotional before. Right, before they dropped this. That's actually pretty insane.
So maybe it's like a documentary because someone else sent us this version. It was for Ajay Jane Kid Sid Nat Karo. Fuck it, record sitting down as well.
Again, because you need that stillness. I always wondered, right? Wow. This is really cool.
Iconic song, go through your consciousness.
Absolutely.
Let it flow out of him. Whatever comes out, that is the given.
गाते गाते कहीं पर लिखता कि यहाँ चले जाऊँ
थोड़ा सा exactly
वहाँ चले जाऊँ तो चले जाना चाहिए
exactly वो travel होना चाहिए.
So even then, it seems even in their approach in the studio, I don't know who that man is. Perhaps a mentor.
Maybe the director, because most often than not, these are songs that are related to movies, so that the directors or composers have a very specific vision of the song.
And that's what I was kind of expecting in the studio. That type of entourage, like you're looking at 10 plus people here.
That's right. That's right.
Because they are, such ginormous productions, and there's so many things at play. But that's quite interesting. That given the fact that perhaps some of the producers or some of the directors that he's worked with do encourage that type of singing from him. That what he's kind of known for, that soulful singing.
Yeah, it's like whatever comes out of it. That's whatever comes out of him. That's what we're taking.
Yeah, because it seems he's so aligned with his own. I mean, whatever the fuck consciousness means, science doesn't even know yet. But
great point.
Music seems to be able to encapsulate that or explain that, at least through the feeling, better than anything else.
I think that what I would say is that he has a very clear vision of what the song requires from him, and then he's able to deliver and align himself with that feeling, or at least most of the times.
Yep.
There's a huge emphasis on the understanding of the piece.
Yes.
So I think that maybe that's what the director or whoever was trying to give directions here was.
आज जाने की जिद ना करो
He was right
यूं
though.
ही पहलों में बैठे रहो.
But you see how difficult this singing phrase is?
Yes.
You have to be that settled.
Still, yeah.
You have to be sitting down, because any type of like minuscule movement will actually deflate or inflate the notes in one way or another.
That's not very common here in the West. You very rarely will find a singer in the booth to be encouraged to be sat down. I think
very, very little. I
very
mean,
rarely,
it depends on what type of music and the style of music. I mean, if
But
you're hearing modern R&B, you see a lot of the singers, the girls like to sit down because it provides that easier access to the breathiness in which you're singing. Like I've seen Kelani, her, they like to sit down when they're in the booth. Even Ariana Grande, there's some footage of her when she's doing like layered vocals that provide a lot of velvetiness, a lot of heavy breathiness.
I think I know which footage you're talking. I thought she was standing up, but maybe you're right. Yeah. True.
So I think it depends also in like the style of the music that you're trying to portray.
Very rare though, in comparison to how often, well, given the cultural, what do you call it, a connotation to sitting in India, which I mean, essentially he learned to sing sat down.
That's right.
Cross-legged. So yeah.
That's so unnatural to me, dude. That's crazy.
यूं ही पहलों में बैठे रहो आज जाने
He's so relaxed.
आज जाने की जिद ना.
I love the overshadow of it.
और जो नई जनरेशन उसको एक बात का एहसास, उस बात का एहसास होगा कि वो आज के
I wish we had bloody captions.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, interesting.
Oh,
Harmonium.
see, they practice with the harmonium.
Naam
Karam.
Karam. Monali Thakur.
Anu Malik.
Yeah, so this man is a monster.
large in herself.
Titan.
It won't only go in the voice.
That's something I'd love to see.
And for that we thank the gods and all the blessings in the sound engineering, because holy guacamole.
How he truly embodies. It's the same with Arijit. How it truly, because that's one thing, right? It could have sounded and it felt like that in the studio, and Monali is also a good example of that. But the way they amplify those things and the way it encapsulated the feeling of the moment, that sort of feel of consciousness, of soulfulness.
It's like trance-like. I don't even know how to like. It's like meditative. Yeah, meditative.
And they're able to put it into a
music.
track
Yeah.
that then can be replayed, and that feeling can always be brought back. It's so crazy. That's something I'd love to see. If anyone has any more
Liquid
content like
magic.
that, what the studio process for any of these singers. I mean, Shreya would be quite intriguing to look at in the studio. I mean, Monali obviously is quite, as we can obviously tell, fucking wow inducing.
That was awesome. Continue. It's just that the vocal phrasing is so crazy. Oh, what the freaking time signature is that?
And it's interesting how they warm up with the harmonium kind of at the start.
It's like how we do it.
Excited to be a part of this wonderful show. My heartiest wishes.
Crazy, man.
What show was this?
What show is that?
Because these are just videos you guys send us, and then we just kind of watch them here on the channel, give our thoughts. But very rarely do we actually know much about the actual context of things. So
unless you describe it, we really don't pretty much.
Which I would appreciate if you do send videos like this. do let us know more about it, because then we can kind of share it to other people that perhaps don't know. But that seemed to be obviously part of the movie of a Bollywood project. It actually felt somewhat musical-ish like.
It did. But I always had a suspicion that it would be approached very similarly to how it is for when theater shows are moved to Hollywood films, or how musical films are structurized.
Right.
I mean, you can see a lot of that behind the scenes and like makings of like big musicals, for example, like Frozen on Disney Plus. You can watch the whole making of, and especially no, but it's really interesting, especially in the part not because of the movie itself, but like how the process of taking the score into the studio with the actors and actresses and singers and stuff. It's actually quite interesting because you see the story develop itself into a full-on fleshed out cinematic universe only because of the music, right? So that's actually quite exciting, and it's quite thrilling when you're part of the building of it. That's one of the moments where, as a part of the cast, you finally see the pieces come together. Because up to the point where they go into the studio, everything's very fragmentalized. So there's just fragmented. Yeah, thank you. So there's a lot of just like bits and pieces everywhere.
Yeah.
And nothing is really set. So they're like, you know what you have to do, and everybody knows what they have to do, but it's like putting it together. And when you come into the studio and finally listen to the last finished demo, for example, before it's mastered and all the magic goes in, that's when you finally get to feel the jitters, and you're like, okay, the cinematic universe actually exists. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, because at that point,
bringing it to life.
At that point, the only person who truly knows what the full vision of it is. I mean, he does have to communicate in a manner which everyone can understand, so that they can be involved in the project. But to a certain extent, the director understands it to an extent that nobody else does. So he sees things that you don't. So it's his capability also to communicate the things that he's seeing that your eyes simply cannot see yet, that you can then portray in a fucking studio.
That's right.
It's such a mental job, like creating a movie or a musical or stuff. It's so
being
crazy.
A director, or like musical director, or a film director, or moving picture, anything, it's
rough,
hard, because nobody else can see what they're seeing until it's done, you know, and it's crazy.
Let us know if you like this type of videos. These are quite fun for us, hence why we decided to do them, and hopefully you guys enjoy them too. But perhaps if there's any other singers you like us, B Prak would be quite interesting to look as well.
He would be awesome, because he is initially a producer before he was a singer,
so that'd be quite intriguing. Also, A.R. Rahman in a studio would be also quite probably mind-blowing to look at. So I don't know if there's any like videos
behind
like
the
this
scene footage,
but yeah, let us know what you guys thought about it, and goodbye.
Okay.